What's up, everybody, and welcome back. The duo of all duos is here to talk about some more challenge stuff in revisionist history because, that's everyone's favorite topic. And I got to say, to the surprise and dismay of myself, and I'm sure even you more so, our last video was actually quite successful, and especially, too, I had no intentions. I never really drop on Saturdays, but for whatever reason, this one particular Saturday was the designated dropping day, and it ultimately proved to be quite fruitful. So glad for that. How were you feeling about the turnout on this last one?
Well, I'm happy that people care enough to actually watch, which is good. Maybe it's just like too hot outside. Some people are trying to beat the heat and stay inside and listen to our hot takes. So, hey, whatever works for them, I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone that listened.
Yeah, I mean, why go outside in the blistering heat when you can just come and sit in front of your computer screen with the air conditioning on and listening to our blistering heat when it comes to our takes?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been outside in years. All I do is sit and watch challenge reruns so I can talk about this. And lo and behold, here I am.
And tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tweet hot takes.
Yeah. Well, that was a really good turnout. I'm glad that people enjoyed the last topic because we were definitely going back and forth and debating on future topics and one. We had some that were like surefire, and I would definitely say the who should have won topic was more so one of our looser ones. Like we were kind of like should we not sort of about it, but then we're just like, let's just kind of give it a shot on a whim. And currently where we sit, that's I think right now is about to be our second most viewed one that we've done so far, right behind the conspiracy ones, and it's our most commented on one. So for whatever that's worth, I will take that. And as always, the support is very much so appreciated. And when we're talking about support, I mean, I think both of us were in support of this next topic that we're going to be talking about today because I got to be honest with you. This is probably one that I'm really excited about. And I think you kind of could echo those sentiments as well. We were kind of talking about this for a couple weeks. If you stuck around, and I know a lot of you did because you were, throwing ideas in the comment section. We said at the end of last week's video that this was going to be a battle of the seasons, sort of fantasy casting, I guess you can call it that. And sort of, I'll explain our thought process. We're kind of going to cast this as if it were to be under the umbrella of an all-star type of setting, not so much as if it was a flagship, because, I mean, if we'll be honest here, if this did take place on a flagship, we'd be getting team like Mole Germany. Like, it just wouldn't work.
I don't think Battle of the Seasons is ever going to come back to the flagship. Because they're casting people from like Pakistan's Got Talent and like Who Wants to Be a German Millionaire and like whatever they do, like, so we don't have like cohesive seasons, and it's getting to the point where All Stars, we might even be losing our opportunity to have like decent seasons come in, because no disrespect to like Corey Lay or anyone, but if he's on All Stars 5, which I believe he is, no one else is going to come in from 12 Dates of Christmas. Like,
that show got canceled, by the way. I just want you to know. Like, it's not. It's discontinued.
Wow. Well, they went and killed Christmas because of this. So
yeah. Well, so. With the running rumor right now, and I don't even know if you can really call it a rumor. I think it's about 95% certain at this point. We're looking at a theme coming back, or some at least form of a theme coming back, which is sort of like, I guess, a tie-in of Rivals and like, I guess, X's with this supposed All-Stars 5 that just wrapped up filming recently. So we know that the theme is at least back in favor with production to some extent for them to like take the leap and do that. Maybe they're cognizant now to like, what fans want. We'll see. Giving them a lot of credit, but we'll see. I'll give them a bone in this sentence. maybe they're cognizant to what the fans are asking for and want, and they're leaning more into the idea again of doing themes from the past that we really enjoy. And so I feel with that in mind, why not take a whim? Because they're probably going to bank on the fact of 40 being watched because it's a milestone, and maybe they feel like All Stars 5, might do well as well with the whole rivals thing. So I feel that with that in mind, maybe they might get a little generous with an All-Star 6 potentially, and we might get a Battle of the Seasons. So for today's video, essentially him and I came up with 13 pairs. We're going to kind of be stating our pairs, and then I'll, go through a little bit my notes of what I had down of kind of how I feel like the dynamics would shape, and we're going to react to each other's. And you guys can sound off in the comments on who you like that we had, and or who you would consider casting if you were doing it yourselves. And also it's paired, if you guys caught that. So unlike the Battle of the Seasons in 2012, which was like 4 teams, which I enjoyed, but that's a lot harder to pull off in 2024 or 25, whenever this would be happening. It's just kind of like unrealistic and unfeasible. Like in 2012, like those people were a lot younger and like had like less like, responsibilities. A lot of them didn't have families yet. So it's like a lot harder to get like that many people, to have 4 on each team. So we figured that this would be a lot better because it allows more room for, sort of with the pairs, you can get more people on, more teams. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm glad they tried the 4-person teams.
So am I. I like
but I think in the future, I don't really see that coming back. And I think like it's more feasible given what we know from All Stars to do pairs, because this kind of fits into the format from what we understand of All Stars 5. I mean, I think they could get teams of 4 because, now that they're casting from like Are You the One, those kids will like give their firstborn to get on the show. But I don't think the viewers want to see that. Are You the One isn't really happening for a reason.
Yeah. Well, would you consider this, by the way, before we get into our cast, would you call this Battle of the Seasons 3, or would you just call it Battle of the Seasons?
I would not call it Battle of the Seasons 3 because they didn't call Battle of the Seasons 2 Battle of the Seasons 2.
Well, the thumbnail has Battle of the Seasons 3.
Well, I mean, fans get it. Yeah. But I think that it would be like Battle of the Seasons, All Stars, or All Stars, Battle of the Seasons. I think that's how they would go, and I'd be cool with it. That makes sense.
Whatever floats their boat. As long as we would get this format, I would just be beyond happy. But without further ado, we could hop right into this. Like I said, I'm going to go through all my teams first, and then I'll go through even maybe some notes as I go along too that I had written down that would be kind of helpful with my thought process behind picking these teams, and he'll chime in as well. So without further ado, I'm going to start with my first team here, and this one is a Road Rules team, and they come from The Quest. I have Adam Larson and somebody who I feel is very long overdue to make their return after just honestly being what you could argue the main character of the first All-Stars, and that's Hisela. I think that she obviously got injured at the end of that, so that clearly took her out for a while, but from what I know, she's fully healthy again. I would love to see this as a pairing, and you could have gone Steve in this route, but the reason why I picked Adam, these two didn't get along on Road Rules. And when I interviewed Hisela like 3 years ago, she kind of still seemed like on the fence on whether or not, she really cared for Adam. So I really feel like this would be a fun team. And honestly, Hisela showed that on All-Stars 1, like she came in with like a purpose and was willing to compete and tried. So like, I feel like they would be a fun team, both from like a competitive standpoint and just like their personal team dynamics. Cause I feel like Hisela is such a strong-willed, like sort of like woman. Like she doesn't like to be kind of like talked down to. And Adam's such like a kind of feel like he tries to take the leadership position and I feel like that would be a really fun dynamic. So what is your thoughts on like Adam and Hisela?
I love those two together, especially because like they could have been rivals at some point in life. But I mean, Hisela, when she came back on All Stars 1, she shocked the hell out of me because she was like loud. She wasn't always the best at the challenges, but you wouldn't know that because she told everyone she was great and shouldn't be sent into elimination. And I mean, she was entertaining. She came to play, and as long as she comes to play again, I'm good with it.
Well, we're talking about coming to play. This is someone who I feel, both of them really, but especially in the guy's case, somebody who came to play on his lone sort of appearances that we've seen him, and it's kind of insane that we haven't seen him again. Both of them, in my opinion. We've got a Cancun team, and we know that Cancun's been very much so in the limelight in the past few years with John A's ascension. We're seeing Derek ascending now. Jasmine's done 2 All-Star shows. Hell, freaking Emily Fitzpatrick was an alternate for All-Stars 2 on location. So, like, they clearly reached into the well, but they didn't reach far enough because I have 2, I guess you could call born-again rookies in this sense. I've got CJ and Aya as a Cancun pairing because I feel like Aya would bring something in the same vein of, like we said, a Hisela on All-Stars 1 and an Ayana on All-Stars 2. Somebody to just come out of nowhere and just, like, fuck shit up pretty much, like, socially and just kind of be unhinged. Like, I think she would provide really good confessionals, and she would be the yang to CJ's yin, where CJ's like the nice guy everybody likes. He's a good competitor, and Aya is just like the fiery, like, you know, Latina, not afraid to say what she feels sort of thing, but she'll give it her all for CJ, and I think they would be a fun little cute pairing.
Yeah, I mean, she could go either way. I think CJ is someone who's still in great shape. He's going to do well. But Aya is a celebrity. She is mentioned in 30 Rock. I don't know if you ever watched the show 30 Rock. She gets a shout out. So
yeah,
she's ingrained in pop culture. And I would like to see her back. I think you could do worse casting from Cancun. You could do better casting from Cancun. But I say that with an asterisk because I really don't know how Aya is going to do. But it'd be fun to see her. I'm in support.
Yeah, I mean, I could have went the boring route and just put, like, literally John A or Jasmine with CJ, but we've seen that already, and, like, you know, they've been seen. I went for something that I feel like would have been a more, like, you know, would have popped me if I saw it on the Twitter feed when I'm rolling down. But next up, we've got a pairing which is definitely now really possible given the spoilers of, like, who we see is going to be showing up now to All-Stars 5. This is no longer a whim. This is something that could really be a reality. I reached into the bag of when they started doing the Twist Real Worlds, and I've got a team explosion here. And I've got Ashley and Thomas.
Yeah.
Sneaky elite team. I feel like they would probably work well together, and this would honestly be a deceptively really good team. Honestly, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is going to be one of those teams that's just like really squirrely, and they're going to do well in a non-conventional way. Like they might not win every challenge. I think like at their best, they're going to be like Teresa and Jay on Double Agents, where they like spend all day trying to make like big moves that bite them in the ass in the end. But who knows? I mean, Ashley's won eliminations. Thomas beat Kahada, so that's something.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I would like to see Thomas back. I think Tom, he was definitely a rising star from his season, and he just went out in a really weird way. I would have rather like he just lost on Rivals really early and never came back, but
Yeah, I think that would be really funny too with like getting into drama because Thomas proved that even when he's in relationships, he's not afraid to like get into stuff. I mean, he was like getting into a fight with Vince for like no reason on Rivals 3 and then screaming in Banana. Listen, if anybody's willing to scream in Bananas' face like unsolicitedly, you're always welcome on my screen.
Yeah.
This next team is more or less just about kind of getting the guy on the season because I feel like he's another one who is very long overdue to come back. I don't know what the holdup really is there. I got a team Portland, and I've got Marlon and Avery. I really just mainly want to see Marlon back because, I mean, you know, he obviously like showed both some competitive promise and drama promise on his lone appearance on Rivals 2, and he's gotten like ridiculously fit since the show. So like I feel like it's a missed opportunity to not at least give him another crack. And Avery, I mean, despite really not giving us much of anything on All Stars 4, I mean, she proved to at least be a solid competitor at the minimum. And we'll have to see how she does on season 40. I would love to see some more like personality and like some like something of kind of like relevance when it comes to the social aspect of the game, but she's definitely proven at least to be a solid competitor. So they'd be another, I feel like, good team. But another reason why I chose to go with Avery as opposed to like Naya in this case is because Avery and Adam are in a relationship now, like a committed one in real life. Like they live together and stuff.
I mean, she changed Hooters, so she's at a different Hooters now for him.
That is crazy. So
I mean, they don't need a ring. There's no bigger commitment.
Yeah, that's like, man, wow. You got to keep her in that regard. If you get her to switch Hooters. But the reason why I chose her is because they met on All Stars 4. Allegedly, they didn't start dating until after the show, which I believe. But we didn't really get to see like the, you know, gelling of their relationship come to be on camera. So I feel that bringing them in as a couple while also having them be on two separate teams could make for really fascinating television because they're obviously going to be looking to look out for one another, and you're going to have people in the middle trying to split that up because you know how they like to split up couples and kind of like break that apart. So I feel like that would make for really good TV. And correct me where my memory isn't serving me correct right now, but when's like the last time on the challenge we've seen like two people come in as a couple and that be like a focal storyline where like, because I mean, like Zach and Jenna have come in a couple times, but that's been broken up.
Leroy and Cam.
Leroy and Cam. Hence why I said my memory isn't serving me correctly.
Yeah.
But okay, so we've had Leroy and Cam. I mean, Zach and Jenna, they've done a couple seasons, but like Jenna's gone home early or Zach's gone home early, whichever the case may be. I'm thinking, well, this is not even close to a comparison because I know it wouldn't come close to that, but I'm thinking more of the lines like I want to see something similar to like Tori and Brad on Cutthroat, where like one half of the couple is just like, by all means, like I gotta get my significant other the win, and they're like crazed about it. I want to see Adam Larson in a position where he's like just like losing his like mind, like I need to make sure Avery gets to the end and wins this like type of thing, and people are like screwing with his game and trying to throw Avery in. I just want to see something chaotic rooted in love. That's all I'm asking for. Love is like the root of all you know, fights. So I think
that's really sweet. You know, I love a forbidden love. I love people on different teams that just, you know, they'll do anything for each other. And I don't know why Marlon hasn't been back, but like people have been asking, and all MTV will do for us is give us X on the Peak 4 or whatever it's called. And yeah.
Well, next up, listen, I know this team in real life got a lot of pushback, but I'm actually going to go against my real life policy, mostly because it was stupid at the time in real life with Team Fresh Meat and the real version that we got. But in this particular instance, I'm going to okay it and allow it just because it's a little bit different. Because, you know, we had Camilla, who wasn't even a part of Fresh Meat, and it was just like that kind of soured the entire thing for me. In this scenario, I'm okay with it just because it's from the start and like no teams are being like an actual real world team isn't being removed in favor of a Fresh Meat team. So I'm going to allow this one. I've got Cara Maria and Pete together. And, you know, by this point in time in real life, I don't know where Cara is going to be. Maybe she'll have outgrown All-Stars by this point and just be fully fledged on the flagship again. Maybe that'll be the case, but in this universe, I've got her back on an All-Star season for this, and I'm pairing her up with somebody who we haven't seen in a while. So we've got a team Fresh Meat here, which would they'd both be from Fresh Meat too in that case. So I've got Cara Maria and Pete, and this one. Can I
tell you something? This is the first one you have that I have.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, I was not expecting that. Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah. I have some substitute people that could be shuffled in, but those were the two that I landed on.
Same. I was going really back and forth on this one. There was like, listen, there was a brief point where I considered like, you know, Teresa, but I don't feel like that's ever going to happen. We're even at a point where I was considering Mandy, but like the reason why I landed on Cara Maria is because I think that her and Pete would be a really good team. And I think by the end of this, when I get to my other teams, we're going to see where the social dynamics lie. And I feel like by having Cara Maria on this, we're going to be seeing sort of like a Final Reckoning-esque social dynamic going on. And so I'm very interested in that. Some other key notes that I put on the side as asterisks just to keep into consideration here. Cara would be on the season with Thomas again for the first time since Bloodlines. And, you know, who knows where, you know, certain relationships may lie at that point in time when this is filming. I'm just going to say that.
I thought Thomas was engaged or married or something.
Well, I'm not really talking about him. Yeah. That's all I'll say. And then this one's a little more obscure, but for those that really were in the rabbit hole and challenged Twitter in 2019, Marlon and Cara Maria had like beef at the time. Because Paulie and Marlon had beef, and then like Marlon, I think, posted a screenshot of a DM Cara sent him, like saying like, "Oh, why are you obsessed with my boyfriend? Like, why don't you put down the weights and go learn how to swim or something like that? Like, maybe you'd be better at the challenge." Like, yeah, like I found that the other day when I was kind of just like digging up my, because I remember seeing it in real time, but I had to like double take and make sure that I wasn't imagining things. That 100% took place. So that's another thing. Like, I don't know if that would come up if they filmed. That was like years ago, but I'm just like throwing that out there. But it could be like a.
I mean, if Cara's making digs at Marlon for not being able to swim in 2013,
throwing stones at a glass or throwing stones from a glass house.
Yeah, I mean, if she's holding on to that insult after 6 years. I would have a hard time thinking that they've buried this DM drama because it's only 5 years has passed.
Yeah. Well, look, I think that, you know, I'll obviously get into what I'm, you know, when the social dynamics, when the rest of the teams are announced. But without further ado, we got a team Vegas 2 here. And I say 2 because, you know, Vegas will come up again. So this one, I had like kind of 2 ladies in mind. I've got one of them like in quotations as like a fallback, just because my my first choice, I don't really know like what that deal is. Like I had Cook and like in parentheses or Nani, because I would accept Nani like if that were the case. Like because I just don't know what Cook's like status is right now. Like I could have sworn she might have had another kid. Like I don't really know.
You know. I mean, I don't know what she's doing with her life, but I think she had twins after she was an alternate for All Stars 1. And I don't think she's had another kid since then. I mean, I don't know if she wants to compete. I don't know if it's something that's feasible in her life right now, but I would think that from what I've seen on social media, um, it wouldn't be out of the cards.
Okay. So if it were my call, like she would be option number one. But again, I had in parentheses or Nani, because if that was option number two, would totally be cool with it. And their partner would be none other than Dustin, because I think that, Dustin just recently did a interview with Jemmy not too long ago, and Jemmy had hinted at, like, she knows some people in production and like putting in words and whatever. I just feel like this is something that's so long overdue as well. And again, the dynamics, depending on whichever lady it would be definitely interesting, because Nani and Dustin were great friends, and like Nani does really well when being supported by a male partner, and I feel like Dustin would probably will her on. So that would be like, campy and cute to kind of see them reunited again in like 24, 25, whatever it is. But if you throw in Cook and Dustin, they've also got like a past together from their Real World season, where like they were kind of like, you had Heather in the mix, and like they were kind of like a little bit of a, thing. But if it's Cook and Dustin, I feel like they would be a really good team physically with the challenges. However, they would also be a target, because I feel like they wouldn't be like really connected super well. So people might try to, target them, but you would have Cara and Cook kind of like looking out for each other and working together, I think. So that's something to watch out for. But yeah, what do you think about my team here?
Well, I can't say I'm surprised that you picked Dustin. I know Dustin's your boy. I mean, but I want to see him make a comeback too. And Cook is like it's such a letdown that she was an alternate for All Stars 1, and we didn't.
No.
Like, oh, it just, yeah.
Listen, the devil's advocate in me, if I could go back and change, I don't want to change things, but like I feel like Cook would have been in a similar archetype as John A was on All Stars 1, where, John A came in as a mom now, and like she didn't really get involved in too much drama in the first season, if you remember. She was pretty reserved and quiet, and she had just come out of like postpartum not too long beforehand. So I feel like Cook would have probably served a similar archetype as John A did on All Stars 1, but she would have provided more in like the competition, and who knows, maybe the social aspect too. I mean, Cook probably would have been gunned by all the like older ladies. Wow, that sounds offensive. Older school ladies.
Yeah.
Because of like, her being kind of on the outskirts and being a good competitor. So
if we're being honest, at the time I wasn't like super upset that Cook wasn't on the cast, because sequentially her Real World season 25 was the most recent. So it was supposed to be like an OG challenge. You give preference to the ones who are the youngest. I mean, the oldest in terms of when their season debuted. But it's just like we were this close and got away. And that just kind of stinks, because the next season we didn't have anyone from 25, but whatever.
Yeah.
It just stinks.
So yeah, I would go Cook, Dustin, but if Cook can't, then I would have Nani suffice as a, But without further ado, this is where the social ties start to get a lot stronger, what I talked about, and giving me Final Reckoning vibes, because Ashley has some help on the way. And we've got a team campus crawl, and I've got Shane and Kendall. Really good team. I think they would crush it, and I think they would also work well together. This is interesting because we know that Hisela and Kendall went at each other on All Stars 1, or at least Hisela came for Kendall quite heavily on All Stars 1. But the reason why I like this is because for the very first time on an All Star season, Kendall's got protection. She's going to have the Lavender Alliance backing her the entire time, and she'll have the numbers. All she has to do is go out and compete well in the dailies, and Shane's got her covered.
I mean, maybe Kendall can teach Ashley how to do yoga and kind of reel her in, so she doesn't like, doesn't explode on everyone. But
find her Zen side.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what we've seen from the earlier All-Star seasons is, I love Kendall. Like, I remember watching her on the Inferno in 2004. Always been a fan, but she wasn't the most socially connected, and she had a hard time defending herself. And should she find herself in any type of tricky predicament, now she'd have Shane on her side, and he's really good at arguing, but he's not going to make anything better. He's just he's going to take this small problem and explode it. So it could be a hot mess.
It'll be interesting to see now that Hisela, like in my universe, wouldn't have the numbers like she did the first time, and she would almost kind of, in a sense, be in the mercy of Kendall this time around, whereas like before it was the opposite. I'd be interested to see if Hisela would try to make peace with Kendall or like stand on business and be like, I don't care if you got the numbers this time around, I'm willing to die on this ship. But that's not the only help that Kendall's got on the way, because she's got some help of her own coming up next with this next team. In 2024 or 5, we finally get it. We finally get Team Sydney. They're here. It's not who you think I'm probably going to say for the guy. Unfortunately, I had to use some semblance of logic with this. So I toyed with the idea of putting Kahada on this, but I feel like I went with a more funky option because I feel like, why not? Let's bring the story truly full circle, right? I've got Isaac finally kind of making right with what happened at the first time battle of the seasons with Team Sydney. I've got Kellyanne and Isaac together. I don't know how they would perform as a team. I know Kellyanne's solid. She has her kind of cold periods where like maybe she'll like blank on a puzzle or whatever, but all in all, she's a solid competitor. I don't really know what you would expect from Isaac in 2024, but I feel like he would at the very minimum provide us with like, I feel kind of like a tech role that we got on 1 and 2, where he's like the house kind of spirit and like cuts the jokes and like people enjoy having him around, similar to like Knight when we had Knight on the show. I feel like he would be sort of like the house comedic relief, and for that reason alone, I feel like people would want to keep him around. Now we know Kellyanne and Kendall are close friends, so they would look out for each other. I think they would probably. It would be interesting though too, and I have a side note here. Kellyanne and Kendall are close, but Kellyanne and Sylvia had issues on prior seasons, so like I wonder, like will the Lavender Alliance like kind of be like, hey, we're meeting you for the first time, like any beef you had with Sylvia, she's not here, like we're on a common ground right now.
Well, you know who else is friends with Kellyanne? Cara Maria.
Oh yeah.
So I think that would be an interesting dynamic to have in the house. Isaac, I think, despite he might be bigger and bulkier, I don't think a lot of people view him as a threat.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a bit of an issue for the team, but who knows? I mean, Kellyanne's pretty savvy sometimes. Yeah,
I decided to go with Isaac. I mean, Dunbar would be my fever dream, but like I was using like some semblance of logic, and I just don't ever see that happening. I would love nothing more than to be wrong, though. Just putting that out there. I toyed with Kahada, but I feel like Kahada and Kellyanne, if we ever get an X's, would be like an option. And plus, like, too, I feel like Kahada would probably be kind of like mild-mannered since he's like a married guy now, and like he's, I just feel like Isaac would like, from a drama, social entertainment perspective, Isaac has the highest like ceiling right now for me, and kind of like more potential that I'm waiting to see. So that's kind of what my, thought process came from. But I alluded to earlier when I said Vegas too, we've got another Vegas. This is OG Vegas. And from what the reports suggested, these two were very close to being on the All-Star 5 that just filmed right now. I've got Trishelle and Steven.
I mean, so I don't know if you watched The Traitors, but if I didn't love Trishelle before, I loved her during that show. Mostly just because like I went into it and I rooted for Trishelle because I know her from the real world and the challenge. And she kind of was like, she proved everyone wrong and she navigated her way to the end. And she almost eliminated CT, but she didn't. So she like had her shining moment, and I would love to see her use that social prowess to navigate this game with very different competitors. And Steven, he's a huge star. He was on an episode of Drake and Josh. Yeah, he hosted Say What Karaoke on MTV. Huge celebrity in 2005, but huge celebrity.
Do you think that, because I'm trying to think of where like the social dynamics lie a little bit here. I feel like, which I'm going to get into another team at the end of this in a moment, where it'll all kind of make sense. I'll say the Lavender Alliance will probably be the big alliance, I feel, that will kind of shape up a few teams. Do you feel like Trishelle and Steven, I kind of feel like would probably have to band up with the other Vegas, I feel like, right? In order to kind of look, socially kind of know that they've got somebody looking out for them.
Well, Trishelle lived with Kendall for a while. There was a little in 2002, 2003. There was a little trifecta in Los Angeles where Katie, Kendall, and Trishelle lived together. From what I understand, Katie and Trishelle were longer roommates, and Kendall was just there for like a couple months or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I would think that there's still, especially if Trishelle doesn't know a whole lot of people, that would be something that kind of unites them. But Steven, bit of a wild card. I would have loved to see him.
Oh, him back. And Shane. I didn't even realize him and Shane are going to be on this together.
I know.
Do you think we get a duel 2 Adam and CT fight right out of the gate on episode 1?
I don't think it would be like duel 2. I mean, maybe a couple bitch slaps, but nowadays that's cool.
Well, this next person, we were kind of teased beyond repair with this recent spoiler season. This person's arrival looked like it was willed into existence only to be ripped from us at the 11th hour. I've got a Team Denver here, and I got Jen and I got Tyree. Little bit of an interesting one because immediately when you hear those two names, you don't think they're going to, at this point in time, probably be super connected. But considering the shape that Jen's gotten into in recent years, I feel like they could honestly, as long as they don't like completely tank in like the dailies right out of the bat, I could see them being like an under the radar team that gets carried around. Because Jen like had a pretty good social game, honestly. Like down the, or like her on her last few seasons, like she was not seeing eliminations at all and just getting the finals. She wasn't winning them, but she was getting to them. So I'd be interested to see what this team would kind of look like, but hey, I just want Jen back. So,
well, Jen on Rival said something to the effect of, when talking about how she got to the end, it's called status, baby, and you don't have it. Well, if she comes back now, she does not have the status. And someone like Cara Maria, who that comment was directed at, does have the status. So the dynamic would be very different. However, if in this little fantasy world of yours, Cara probably couldn't flex that muscle because she's paired up with Pete, who probably will have a soft spot for Jen after dating for like 4 months, in
his 20s.
Yeah. But I don't know, obviously, what happened with that relationship, but it just kind of sounds like they separated because they were doing different things in life more than anything else. So
Jen
I don't.
Was a reality star and Pete was a student. Or no, I think Pete might have just graduated, and he was. Anyways, not like it matters. But
yeah, I can't. From what I understand, what I know, I don't think that they're going to have bad blood for each other. I think that, especially if Pete's coming back after all these years, they're probably going to be pretty okay, pretty cool with each other.
Yeah. Well, next one is two people we've seen together, but I wanted to kind of include people because I was being realistic, and like obviously we're gonna have some returnees, some like familiar veteran faces, but I was like, I'd be interested to see how these two would work together. I got Yes and Veronica, team Semester at Sea. I think Ayana would have been a fabulous addition. Obviously, unfortunately, she's dealing with some, very serious real life issues at the moment. So that one's probably, off the table. So, Yes and Veronica is what I went with here. Again, I think Veronica, with her relationship with Shane, I feel like would probably benefit her here because he'll like look out for her, and then by proxy she'll get like the lavender numbers on her side. So I actually feel like socially they'd probably go pretty far off like the fact that Yes is so likable and Veronica's in with Shane. So
yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see what happens on All Stars 5, but it would be a very interesting dynamic to see someone like Shane have to navigate the Lavender Ladies and his really old school alliances like Veronica and potentially like a Tina or a Rachel. But I would think as much as he could, he would protect Veronica. But I think that would be a good pair to have. And spoiler alert, that is the second pair that you've said that I have on my list. Yeah. And the reason I put it on my list and the reason I think it's kind of an interesting pair to have is it's a bit of an homage to the original Battle of the Seasons because those two were on it. And I don't think we could get very many of like those pairs to come back 22 years later. But Yes and Veronica, we have a great chance of if they wanted to make this happen.
Well, next up, I've got who I could say with absolute certainty that unless they win the first daily challenge, this team, I don't know if they'll win or lose, but they'll land themselves in the very first elimination of this season. That's all I'll say. But for the nostalgia and for the likely one episode or two episodes of chaos that we'd get out of it, I've got Jamie Murray and Julie for my team New Orleans. Again, if anybody paid attention to Homecoming, New Orleans, for the 3 seconds that they had it on Paramount Plus, you would have saw like the dynamic and how kind of like, I'll say awkward would probably be the best word to describe sort of the Jamie and Julie aspect of that segment that they covered with that. Like you had like Jamie who very clearly didn't want to like tap into the past between him and Julie, and then you had Julie fucking alluding to the fact that her husband's giving her a hall pass when it's like you do realize it takes two people to kind of whatever. But it made for some like I guess kind of like funny television to an extent, but also uncomfortable at the same time. Point is, it made you feel emotion. And I think that I just would like to see Julie back on a challenge, and I think this is the way to do it. With that being said, they would be immediately targeted because Julie is just like, I mean, I don't see her getting along with very many people. I see her kind of having like a bullseye on her head. And then Jamie, while, nobody's got any issues with him, he's not really an outspoken guy. So he's not like the type of guy to like go around campaigning and changing people's minds. So would love to see them. I just don't think they would be there very long.
That is the third team I had as well.
All right.
And it will make sense eventually, but I clearly would like to see this duo. And I did watch Homecoming New Orleans, made me very uncomfortable. Everything about Julie made me uncomfortable, but I'll be damned if she's not good TV. um, because she's always a mess. But I also have faith that she'd be able to perform well in the challenges. Um, I don't think as many people would target her immediately as you expect. Veronica obviously will. Veronica will want her out. But I mean, Veronica could kind of logic herself out of targeting Julie immediately because Julie's not going to be connected coming into this game. Nor is Jamie, based on what you're telling me. I don't know your whole cast yet. Jamie's interesting because he's never lost a challenge. And like,
yeah,
basically every season he's on, it feels like almost a fluke that he won.
Sometimes
I mean, not really, but he's on the only real world team to ever win a challenge on the Extreme Challenge. Not that that's like a really impressive win or anything, but it is a fact. And then he won. I mean, he won Battle of the Sexes. I guess there's not much of a fluke there, other than the fact that he very easily could have been eliminated on the last challenge. But then Antoine DQ'd as well.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. And then he won as a rookie on his third season on the Gauntlet 2, and he wasn't even supposed to be on that team. So it would be interesting.
He's the only guy to do a magic trick in challenge history to fool production into believing he was a rookie.
Yeah. I mean,
after his two challenges already.
Yeah. So we'll see if he can keep it up. Get 4 in a row.
Yeah. Well, I've got one more team here. And I chose some element of realism with the fact that it'd be too good to be true to not assume that production would not try and pull a non-road rules or real world team. And so I kept it as light as possible because I feel like I would like to see her on a all-star umbrella where she's not constantly gunned for like the moment she steps in the house. Like she kind of really feels like the last few times she's done challenges. And this other guy, because we haven't seen him in years, and I feel like we should because we need more dramatic men who are, good for the show. I got an Are You the One team, and I've got Hunter and Amanda.
I was very close to having that team. I do not have that team, but I was very close. And yeah, I mean, I think that would be a disaster, but I'm here for it.
Well, because we know that now we've put the puzzle pieces together. We've got Amanda, Shane, and Ashley across 3 different teams. So that's going to probably be your power alliance. One would assume maybe depending on how All Stars 5 go or 5 would have went. Maybe if Veronica and Shane are still close, she gets looped in there. So they would definitely have the numbers, but again, this gives Amanda, I would argue, her best chance of winning since maybe Final Reckoning. She would have a strong guy with her there. My question would be, would Hunter fall in line politically? Like, I mean, probably, right?
Probably not.
Or not, no?
I mean, he was an absolute hot mess on our War of the Worlds 1. Like, I don't know what was going on there, but he made it to the end, and I haven't heard from him since. Like, I don't know what he's doing.
He's still up in the desert where they filmed the final.
Probably, yeah. For all we know, he could be in, where was that, Namibia?
Yeah,
he could be there. I haven't, like, the last time I saw him, he was like on a milk carton. I don't know where he is, so it would be a surprise to see him back.
Would he be? I'm looking at my cast now for the guys, right? And I go down these names, right? You've got Adam Larson, CJ Thomas, Marlon, Pete, Dustin, Shane, Isaac, Steven, Tyree, yes. Jamie Murray and Hunter. Like, that's definitely like, I feel like my guys are kind of like almost like with the exception of like Yes and maybe like Hunter, is kind of like the untapped sort of like, what are we gonna get? So and Adam Larson, I think you could probably loop into that group too. Outside of Adam, Hunter, and Yes, who are all champions, you've got a bunch of kind of guys who have either had bad luck or we just haven't really seen enough of to really form an opinion on. And that's why I love that, because then on the other end, you've got the girls who are kind of like, we know most of what they're capable of, but it becomes like a political power struggle. So I'm like, personally, like when I put this thing together, I was like really happy with how it turned out, honestly.
Yeah. Did you have any guesses who would win?
Honestly, this is tough. I feel like, honestly, I could see, realistically speaking, out of who I've got here, I see about 3 teams with a realistic chance of winning, and it would probably 4 actually. I would say, I would give Cook and Dustin a chance if they got to the end. I don't know if they would get there. So I've got like 4 teams where I really feel like have a like legit, like, these are your contenders, and 3 of them are from the Lavender Alliance, and that's Thomas and Ashley. I would give actually a sneaky, really good chance of winning. Hunter and Amanda, obviously. Shane and Kendall, I would give a really good shot to. And then Cara and Pete. I think if Cara and Pete reach the final, I think you really got to watch out, because Pete in the years since the show has gotten himself in even much better shape too. So
my guess for the final 3 teams on your season, maybe, I don't know if it'll be final 3, final 4. I think it would be Pete and Cara that win. I think that they're just like very stacked.
Yeah.
I think Shane and Kendall will make it to the end. Shane makes it to his first final, depending on what happens on All Stars 5. Shane would make it to the end. And I think, sneakily enough, Julie and Jamie would get there. I don't think that they would win, but I think it would kind of be like, Jamie's never been eliminated now. He still has like some luster to him. If there's 4, depending on what happens on season 40, I think it would also be like Avery makes it to a final. She does something. So Avery and Adam.
Yeah, I didn't consider Marlon and Avery. They would probably be like,
Yeah, Avery and Marlon. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I mean, I like my cast, and I'm excited to hear what yours is. Oh, before I go, quickly in passing, I mentioned to you over text that I had an alternate. I'm not really going to dive into like the full logistics of it. Legitimately, I thought about this morning, like on a whim. I had Trey and Marie as like an alternate, but I was trying to fit them into the puzzle piece, and I was considering replacing Sydney, but I was like, I can't have Sydney get the boot twice. So I just kind of like had them, and plus Marie's just a newly mom now, so it's kind of like, I don't know what her status is, or if they would even cast her. But moral of the story is, I would like to see both of them back. Whether it be together or not is up to production, but yeah, that's pretty much that. So yeah, you're free to dive into yours now.
Cool. So the way I did mine, and I feel like I have far fewer deep dives than you do.
Yeah.
Because the way I did mine, essentially mine ended up being the spiritual successor to All Stars 3 as well, because we have so many seasons at this point. And I thought we should get the best of the best. We should get the seasons that have really dominated this game all compete to see who is the best season. So every single season I have represented has at least one win.
As one?
And at least one winner.
Okay.
And the other person has made a final. So everyone on this cast is a finalist. I didn't do that intentionally at first. I actually cut Hunter and Amanda because of that.
Yeah. Because Amanda's never technically made a final.
No, but if she does on season 40, we could throw her in later.
Yeah.
But anyways, I have other teams. 3 of them I've already talked about. And those are Julie and Jamie, which I thought was going to be my deep dive.
Sure.
Yes, and Veronica. And going out of order here.
Cara and Pete.
Yes. So we've already touched on those.
Yeah.
But the first season that I think this is a contender for like the most winningest season of all time. Is Campus Crawl. I think they have like such a deep history with this competition, and they have so many wins under their belt. I have Rachel and Darrell. I mean, Rachel has 2 wins, Gauntlet and Duel, and Darrell has 4. So, I mean, they just have the numbers out the gate. But if there was ever another season that gives them a run for their money as the most winningest season, it is Real World Key West. So I have Bananas make him do the jump onto All-Stars. And I gave him Janelle.
That's fair.
Now, I would like to see Paula. I don't think Paula's coming back.
Neither do
Janelle says that she isn't either. Spoiler alert, I do not have Ayana on this cast. I don't have Tina on this cast. So maybe, Bananas could like twist her arm.
Yeah.
Bananas could get in production's ear, give her a little pay bump, And I think that they would be a pretty nasty team to compete against.
Definitely.
Another team that I think, and these are kind of the obvious ones.
Yeah.
Road Rules Extreme. We have Derek and Jody.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would do, but they've both won multiple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they wanted to work together on All-Stars 2. Then Steve came into the picture and ruined everything. Fucking Steve.
Derek's shirt again, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How could anyone forget?
This was the only season where I opted to put a non-winner where I could have put a winner. And for Real World Austin, I have Wes, who allegedly is never going to do the show again. We could put Nehemiah there, but I'm putting Wes because it's a fantasy cast. And I put Melinda because I like Melinda. I don't think we're going to get Johanna. Maybe we could get Rachel.
Oh, yeah, she's a champion, right?
Yeah. And I think if Wes could pick, he would pick Melinda. Yeah. But I think those 4 teams, like inherently, on some level, would kind of want to work with each other. So just like having to duke it out would be somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
And then another fairly obvious person to have on this show, Jordan. Mm-hmm. I gave him Naya because I think Naya is the only Portland girl that has made a final.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They tried to fool us and make her think that she made a final on All-Stars 3. She had not made one prior to that. I don't care what anyone says. But she did make the All-Stars 3 final.
Yeah.
Despite Kayla trying to cheat her out of it.
And these two would have been they were actually another team that was supposed to be a ride or die midway through team that showed up, but that's when Naya had her scare with the vaping.
Yeah.
She couldn't go.
And then they tried to make it like Anissa never had another partner, even though there was a whole ass man out there, and they just ignored him.
Got rid of him.
Although credit where it's due, production did a really good job hiding this guy. You would have
thought he was a plant.
Yeah, there's not footage of him at all in the house.
It might exist, but we never saw it.
like some people, like really eagle-eyed people, have like zoomed in on the yacht that they're like sailing in on at the beginning. But yeah, they like could point him out, but he's just a dot on there. Apparently, Bananas and Janelle were in talks of being a team for Ride or Dies, but Bananas, I think, had a couple potential partners. Like I've also heard Emily Schramm,
which yeah,
I mean, they probably would have won.
Yeah, but definitely.
He got Nani instead. Then we have Real World Explosion with my girl Ashley and someone who I will always hasn't won, but see a lot of potential in. Always rooting for him. Corey. Who did you say, Jay?
Yeah.
Jay could be. I mean, there are worse partners to get than Jay. I think Corey's a better partner.
Yeah.
I want to make sure. And then, yeah, I cut out RE the 1-3. But I do have other seasons that are not Real World Road Rules Fresh Meat seasons here. So I'm looking at the best feeder seasons.
Okay.
This is post All Stars 5, where 12 Dates of Christmas is hotly demanded by production. So anyone's fair game now. It's a wild world out there. So the next team that you haven't said, and this is, I feel like people would drag me for filth for this one if I was the producer and cast it. But I have Casey and Faisal from Big Brother 20.
Listen, I mean, there's some realism there. I mean, you got to think that would be in production's line of view.
Big Brother 20, when they came on Total Madness, it had like a very old school feel to me in the sense that, I mean, we saw them, they lived together for like 3 months and there was 4 of them. And technically, all 4 of them are finalists. No, Swaggy is not. But Bailey is.
Yeah.
But it felt like old school to me because they used to always bring in groups of 4. Like it was, look at Denver on the Inferno 3, 4 of them.
Sydney on the
island. On the duel. Sydney on the island. Paris on the first Inferno. Like 4 was the magic number. And it was cool to see people come in that actually had a dynamic with each other pre-existing that I had watched on a TV show.
It's crazy, right? It's a crazy concept.
Yeah. Then they stopped doing it. Then we got people from the WWE and
America's Got Talent.
Yeah, I don't know, whatever Mishi's from Pornhub.com. The other one, the next team I have is Real World Cancun. And you would have to give it to John A. I feel like it's kind of a bad move not to put John A on a Battle of the Seasons honoring the success of All Stars because she is like the success story from All Stars. And I would partner her with Derek, who just made the final, came in 8th place in the final, worst performance that is actually ranked, not DQ'd in a final ever, 8th place, but he is a finalist now. So
yeah,
he has that going for him.
It's worth. He is.
Yeah. And then the last 2 teams that I have are Real World San Diego, the second one, with Zach and Ashley. I mean, I feel like in the same way that Yes and Veronica pay homage to the first Battle of the Seasons.
This one's the second one.
this is the second one. Now, I am in the camp. A lot of people, Zach is very outspoken nowadays, which gives us a lot of dirt. But am I a fan of him? Not really. But do I think that he should be banned from the show? Absolutely not. Like,
yeah,
he was always cast to be the person that he is. So I expect Zach to say things I will disagree with, and that's okay. That's the real world. That's how people operate.
Mm-hmm.
But they both won. Zach has made multiple finals since then. Ashley did a season and then a spinoff, and she's doing All Stars 5.
Yeah.
In the final season I have, people will absolutely drag me for filth. It is season 8 of Survivor Turkey, which gives us Turbo and Berna. That's like the shitstorm that people see on the spoiler list, and they're like not tuning in. But Turbo won. And I have a heart, they called the War of the Worlds final the hardest final ever.
Mm-hmm.
And Berna finished the Battle for a New Champion final. So it's kind of hard to say. The two representatives from that Turkish show that no one's watched, at least not in America. I mean, it's quite popular in Turkey.
Yeah.
But that wild show that no one has watched in America has given us two fairly successful competitors. And I think that they would be very hard to defeat. I mean, it could be done.
Yeah, I definitely feel like with the routes that you and I both took for our cast, I like that they're both kind of different and that we didn't kind of like follow this. Because mine, I guess you could kind of classify mine. I took more of a route of like I took more of a Band of Misfit type of route and like more of like a socially driven route with my season, where it kind of feels like with yours, you went for sort of just like the best possible like cast in the sense of like what would make for maybe the most compelling competition, because you put a lot of like really stout like teams together to kind of see what, yeah.
My concept for it was, if All Stars 6 was Battle of the Seasons, we are never getting another Battle of the Seasons. Like, the ship is going to sail. It's pulling out of the dock. Like, I see it on All Stars 5. We are getting people, from Shipwrecked UK. And we're getting to the point of, like, no return with getting these OG seasons. And even with my cast, like, having Big Brother 20 or Survivor Turkey, I feel like there is some merit in calling those like really strong seasons that have represented well on the challenge. But in the future, we're going to get people from like God knows where. Like, we have people coming in the show from like the Mole Germany and Planet Fitness Orlando. Like, you can be anything and be a challenger.
Planet Fitness Orlando. I don't even think that's a TV show, and they're putting people on.
No, that's where Mariah works out.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's really where she works out, but apparently they met at a gym in Florida.
Oh, my God. Well, no, I mean, that's likely where we're probably going to continue to head if we get another All-Stars at this rate. Listen, I'm not advocating for it as long as we still get a good, healthy balance. And it would really depend on the theme. Like, for instance, if somebody like a Mariah or a Raven ended up on a future All-Star season, if it was like an X's format, I wouldn't like totally hate it, because at least it's like storyline driven, and like the premise would be like they're there with an X, as opposed to like them just popping up to grace us with their like presence that, they might not have. You know what I mean? So it kind of all is like very circumstantial. I actually was like surprised that you didn't. I was totally when you kept saying about raking you over the coals. I thought you were gonna mention a Survivor team in there somewhere. I was actually surprised that. Oh no, I mean, well, you got a Survivor Turkey, but like a Survivor USA team.
Yeah, I don't quite know where everyone's origin season is on Survivor. Like you could have Sarah Lucina, who won USA won that season. Or Danny McRae definitely won. But I don't know if there are other successful competitors from their original Survivor seasons. Like I'm not that deep into the weeds with it. Whereas, like I said about Big Brother 20, like it was a very clear distinction when they all came in together on Total Madness. But just for shits and giggles, there were 4 other teams that I toyed with. For one reason or another, didn't go with them. I had Adam Larson and Katie, although technically Stella could, but recency bias. Adam just did All Stars 4 and 5. Katie is doing season 40 and All Stars 5, so I didn't feel like it was a hard loss. I had Tony and Nicole, but Tony's only win is on Battle Chance versus Pros 2. Trishelle and Alton, I mean, I would love to see it. I don't know if Alton is willing to do another show, but I just love to see it. The only reason I didn't do it is because who knows if Alton will do it. And I would love this team. Like, this is the one that I would be like, I might be the only one, but I'm hardcore rooting for them. Susie and Kefla, both winners. Seems like Susie might have some people on production that aren't really in her corner. I don't really know. But I would love that team. I mean, Kefla came in, won over a lot of people on All Stars 4. Susie, say what you will about her. She has multiple wins. She's kind of like, people think that she was entitled on the Ruins, but that entitlement won the season for her. So I can't knock it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely came on all different angles with this one. And this has probably been one of my favorite ones that we've done so far. I'm hoping that by us doing this, we're able to will something else into existence here, like we have.
I don't know if you remember the teams I just spat at you, but
no, I could probably list them all off right now if I.
They're kind of obvious, but do you have any inkling as to who might win? Blind guess.
So you said you do have Cara and Pete, right?
Yeah.
I would probably honestly go with Rachel and Darrell.
I mean, I would like to see Darrell get another win.
Before it's all said and done, yeah, I would probably.
Yeah, he won his first 4, but he's been fighting the uphill battle. I think on my cast, the winner would probably be. I might get raked through the coals for this one.
Oh God, I know where you're.
Bananas and Janelle.
Oh, okay. That's actually not where I saw that going. But
who did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say Turbo and Verna.
No, I think that if they make the final, they get into a fight with each other, and it's just done.
Production sends Turbo home again.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, those were really great. For those that have tuned in, I'm sure they definitely enjoyed. Let us know down below if you were the ones with the pen, what would you craft together for your own All-Stars Battle of the Seasons cast? And please let us know. Little scheduling update for the next few videos if you've made it this far. For all of us that know, we've got season 40 coming down the pipe here on August 14th. And that's about, I believe, 3 weeks from today, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually, when we're filming it, exactly 3 weeks.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So 3 weeks from this very moment, season 40 will be taking place, which means that we've got about a couple of weeks in between to kind of have a couple more of these that we could put together. What we're thinking with our thought process is that next week is likely going to be most over and underrated season. So we'll both probably, I'm sure, come up with like, you know, we don't have an exact number right now. We'll talk about it, but we're each going to come up with some seasons that we each feel are over or underrated in our opinions. And that'll be the topic and theme for next week's video. And then we're hoping that, you know, schedules provided with like the timing, because there is August 7th, I believe, is the challenge MTV themselves kind of preview of season 40. We're hoping that with the timing aligning either before or sometime after that, before the premiere date, we're hoping to get together some sort of variation of a 40 preview of our own. You know, we still have to obviously talk amongst ourselves on like what exactly specifics we wanted to do for that. But those are like the next few things that are kind of in the pipeline. And then obviously from there, we'll kind of take it as we go. But yeah, that's what's to look forward to, folks. So, you know, just to kind of provide you guys with like the schedule of what, you know, to maybe expect in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, if you have anything else to add, feel free to.
No, I mean, I just hope that season 40 is a success, so we have something else to talk about, because yeah,
God knows if it isn't. Oh my God, we'll be in for a long couple of months now.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the next topics, and definitely looking forward to talking about seasons that I think people should watch that they don't watch.
Yeah, I've actually got a couple off the top of my head that I think might, maybe, I don't think they would, maybe they might surprise you. They're going to definitely surprise people watching this. I think you kind of have an understanding of sort of like my, my tastes at this point with like certain seasons and like casts and whatnot. But I feel like some of the people watching will be pretty surprised by at least one of my underrated picks.
I know your lists or your tier ranking. Your S tier is just the seasons that have Dunbar in it.
Yeah, and that's
only those seasons go in the S tier. Everything else can only be second to best.
So yeah, guys, if you're wondering by now, the video's spoiled. I mean, the island's probably in the S tier, so you guys can log off now. But no, yeah, this was another great episode, and I look forward to next week. So thank you guys again.
Yeah, thank you.